Hello and welcome to Calendar. A couple whose young daughter died after waiting nearly 2 years for heart surgery are tonight planning legal action against the health service. When Natalie Kelly became ill, there was just one specialist heart surgeon at Killingbeck Hospital in Leeds. A second had been banned from operating.
Sadie and Robert Kelly were hoping today's inquest into their daughter's death would answer some of their questions. Natalie Kelly had a rare heart defect. Her parents wanted to know why she had to spend almost 2 years waiting for surgery. She died before it could be carried out.
2 years on waiting list, that's why she died. There's no other excuse for it.
Dr. John Gibbs diagnosed Natalie's heart problem when she was a tiny baby. He later recommended surgery to give the little girl the chance of a longer life. Dr. Gibbs told the inquest that the waiting list at Killingbeck Hospital was a long one, and that by the time she died, Natalie had been on it for longer than most. Duncan Walker, a heart surgeon for 20 years, no longer works at Killingbeck. While Natalie Kelly was waiting for surgery, he wasn't allowed to operate by his managers, who questioned his ability and suspended him.
It is true that if I had been working normally, as I should have been over the past 2 years, then a considerable number of children that have not been dealt with would have been dealt with.
Killingbeck Hospital has already admitted that the delay in Natalie Kelly's treatment breached the patient's charter. And following pressure from Natalie's parents, extra staff have been taken on. But they're planning legal action, convinced that their little girl may not have died if the waiting list hadn't been so long.
Katie Oscroft reporting there. Parents at a school in West Yorkshire have been staging an all-day protest after turning up on the first day of term to find their children barred. Pupils arrived at Grove Lee School in Hemsworth this morning to be told that changes in catchment areas mean some of them no longer have places. Their parents, who plan to appeal, staged a demonstration before taking their protest to education officials.
He can't help us with getting the children into Grove Lee, but he says he's going to try and bring the appeal date forward.
These youngsters are now in a different school's catchment area, and I would want to urge the parents to send their children to the local area school pending the appeal. That will not in any way prejudice the appeal, and so that would at least give the youngsters continuity of education, which I think we would all agree is most important for them.
An inquest has heard today how a farmer committed suicide the day after seeing cattle prices plummet because of the beef crisis. William Rodney, who was 49 and a father of 3, shot himself in May at his farm in Healy in North Yorkshire. The friends of an elderly peer who spent 30 years in mental institutions are fighting to have him released into the community. Old Etonian Angus Smith, the third Lord Bicester, is currently confined to the Retreat Hospital in York. His friends say he comes from one of Britain's most distinguished families and should be allowed to live out his days in freedom. A mental health review tribunal, which met today to consider his future, was adjourned for further psychiatric reports.
I'm very surprised to still find people like Lord Bicester in the mental health system. He has been detained for most of his adult life, and I believe that people should try a great deal harder to rehabilitate him into the community. He's got a wonderful sense of humour. How he's been able to preserve his personality over so many years of incarceration is absolutely amazing.
Football, and Leeds United are lying 6th in the Premiership tonight after their first away win of the season. They claimed a 1-0 victory over Blackburn at Ewood Park with a goal from Republic of Ireland international Ian Hart in the 40th minute. Well, finally, a gardener from Lincolnshire is celebrating a new British record tonight. It's taken Bernard Lavery from Spalding 2 years to do it, but he's finally produced the country's biggest ever melon. Weighing in at 24 pounds, it's more than twice as large as the super seedsman's previous record. And although they say size isn't everything, it seems that this time the taste of success really is sweet. And that's it from us. Have a very good night.
Bringing power to your home, Yorkshire Electricity, sponsors of the YTV weather.
Hello again, good evening. Well, they say the sun shines on the righteous. I haven't seen any today, but looking at our observations, I think the best of today's sunshine was around Boston and Thursby in South Lincolnshire there. Now, there is a subtle change taking place on the weather. We're going to get rid of the mushroom and slug weather, the damp, murky conditions, and we're going to introduce some slightly better conditions from the northeast. We'll take a look at a couple of weather charts then, and all will be revealed. There we are, there's today's weather chart. It's still dominated by high pressure. That's the reason your barometer's pointing to fair at the moment. But if we look at this cold front here, that will have moved out of the way by tomorrow and taken that damp weather with it and introduced some clearer weather from the northeast. Now, as you would expect on today's satellite picture, there is a lot of cloud over our region and indeed over much of the country as a whole. But this more broken cloud up to the northeast is heading towards us, but painfully slowly. So on to tonight then. It looks as though it's going to be a fine night generally across the region. One or two cloud breaks probably around the Isle of Axholme there, getting into South Yorkshire and Nottinghamshire, but gradually as we go through the night that cloud will reassert itself and it may be thick enough by the end of the night to give one or two outbreaks of just very light rain here and there and some hill and coastal fog to contend with as well. Lowest temperature tonight, well, I would say probably around 11 Celsius, 52 Fahrenheit in a light or moderate northeasterly breeze. Now the sun rises in the morning at 6:21, sets again tomorrow evening at 7:48, and in fact we're losing about 5 minutes of daylight a day now. Tomorrow then, well, it looks as though it's going to be a bit of a misty start with a lot of cloud around, but gradually as we go through the day that cloud will tend to break up. We'll all see some sunshine. I think there'll be more sunshine than today, but it will still be fairly cloudy at times. Top temperature tomorrow 19 Celsius, that's 66 Fahrenheit in a moderate northeasterly. I wish you a good night. Here's tomorrow's summary.